Coming up, Lancashire, the latest to be placed under the tightest restrictions in England.
Lunchtime news with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. Local leaders in Lancashire have agreed a deal to impose the most strict COVID restrictions in England. From midnight, bars and pubs will have to close and mixing households, both indoors and outdoors, will be banned. The agreement with the government follows days of discussions. Other areas of the north of England, though, including Greater Manchester, are still resisting Downing Street's attempts to move them into the level 3 alert level. They're demanding more substantial support for people unable to work, as our political correspondent Libby Vina reports. So from midnight tonight, more than half of England's population will be living under either Tier 2 or Tier 3 restrictions. It means different rules apply in areas depending on the level of infection. As we heard earlier, there are significant changes too in Northern Ireland and Wales today. In a moment, well, new figures show the number of new cases in England are still rising rapidly. The weekly figures from the Office for National Statistics shows infections in the community have increased by 60%, no longer indoors, and yet still to come. But first, the Prime Minister Boris Johnson has warned Britain must be prepared for not reaching a trade deal with the EU. He said reaching an agreement would require a fundamental change in approach from Brussels. The government had set a deadline of this week to reach a deal. There is an urgent call for more funding of mental health support in schools. The charity Young Minds say they've seen a huge increase in the number of students struggling as they face increasing social isolation and a loss of routine in their lives. The government says it is prioritising young people's well-being, but our correspondent Rachel Younger has been hearing from one school that has seen a significant 43% increase in demand for mental health support. Now, she helped lift the nation during lockdown with her kitchen discos, and now singer Sophie Ellis-Bextor has a new song and album coming out to keep that party spirit going. Let's remind ourselves why it was so popular. Tomorrow night, aren't you, JY in London? Because you're... And that is it this lunchtime. I'll be back here with the ITV Evening News at 6:30. The news where you are follows the national weather. But for now, from everyone on the lunchtime team, bye-bye. Hello again. Now the main stories in London, and Londoners are preparing to move into Tier 2 lockdown from midnight, meaning a ban on mixing indoors with anyone outside of your household. Yesterday, for the hospitality industry, the level 2 restrictions won't allow guests indoors from different households. An inquest into the Croydon tram crash that killed 7 people has been delayed due to coronavirus. The owner of a wedding venue could face a £10,000 fine after police broke up a reception with more than 100 people. Talks to secure a £1 billion government bailout for Transport for London could include a term to extend the congestion charge zone to the North and South Circular. All right, time to see how the weather's looking for the weekend. Here's Helen Plint. And that is all from us for now. Duncan is back here at 6 o'clock. Until then, enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye. The Prime Minister warns he may be forced to impose harsher COVID rules on millions in Greater Manchester.
Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. The Prime Minister has warned he will force the highest level of COVID-19 restrictions on Greater Manchester to save lives if necessary. He's been locked in an escalating row with the Labour Mayor, Andy Burnham, who is refusing to bring them in unless there's more money on the table. The deadlock would be broken if Boris Johnson imposed the rules to bring down infection rates, a situation he described as grave. Well, in other developments today, the R number, which measures the rate at which coronavirus spreads, has risen to between 1.3 and 1.5 in the UK. More than 15,500 new daily cases were recorded in England, and there were also 136 deaths. Our first report tonight comes from our political correspondent Paul Brand on the standoff between the PM and the Mayor. Lancashire has agreed to move the county to the very highest level of COVID-19 restrictions. It means a further 1.5 million people will live under some of the strict... Well, Geraint Vincent reports now from Burnley. Still to come on the ITV Evening News. Those stories and more after the break. Welcome back. In the last hour, a partial lockdown has come into force in Northern Ireland as it struggles to get a grip on rising cases. Pubs and restaurants are to shut for 4 weeks and schools will close for a fortnight, coinciding with half-term. Peter Smith reports from Belfast. The situation in Northern Ireland there. Also in the last hour, a travel ban has begun in Wales. The aim is to stop people from high-risk areas from entering the country. In other developments today, Boris Johnson has warned Britain to get ready for a no-deal Brexit as talks with Europe appear to have broken down. The Prime Minister accused EU leaders of making unacceptable demands, while our Europe editor... Now, we are halfway through Black History Month and ITV News is telling the stories of the people forging real change in our world. They are the trailblazers, building a legacy of fairness across our nation. We'll all be learning the dance. That is it for now. Tom will be here with news at 10, on at the slightly later time of 10:25. But from me and all the team here, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.